I'm here with Julienne Dickey, who was the Green Party candidate in the Napier elections. Kia ora, Julienne, and thanks for joining me.
Kia ora, you're very welcome.
Now, it was a big weekend. I think there were a number of interesting things that happened. Obviously, we saw quite a swing to the right with National and ACT and New Zealand First to an extent getting quite a bit of the vote. But also, the Greens did quite well. There seemed to be a sort of resurgence. What do you put that down to?
Well, I mean, it was a brilliant result for us. Obviously, they did a really good campaign. They've got two extremely competent and respected leaders. They've got a lot of unity within the caucus and good branches. I mean, I was really appreciative of my branch and the support that I got from them. But I think, and maybe Cyclone Gabrielle woke people up to some extent. But I think the message was very clear and very compelling. And I know that other people have said this, but I don't feel that the message coming across from the major parties was either particularly clear or particularly compelling. There were a lot of slogans and a lot of waffle, but we were very clear about what our objectives were around climate change and the environment, and our objectives around trying to end inequalities of wealth, health, housing, education, and so on. And that we would focus on the causes of a lot of the problems in society. And we had a very, I think our program was very focused, and I think people appreciated that. And also our values. I think our values, I mean, one of the things that was, despite my sighing about the overall result, I think one of the things that I feel heartened by is the fact that so many people did vote Green. You know, so many people do share those values and do want those things to happen.
Now, you yourself, I think you and the Tuki candidate, Nick Radcliffe, you both, did quite well. You were standing for the party vote, but you also received, I think you received 1,600 odd votes for yourself.
Yes.
How do you get away from that? I mean, how do you stop people? Because you don't want people to vote for you. You want people to vote for the party, but they always do. And I think
Yes.
you might even have got more votes, or you did get more votes than that candidate.
Yes, I did. I mean, it was very gratifying to come third, especially since I hadn't campaigned for the campaign votes. Of course, the only people who knew I wasn't campaigning really were the people who came to meetings, and that's a pretty small portion of the population. So, and that was a strategy that we thought was the best strategy because it was supposed to be a very close election. So obviously it was about people voting strategically. But I was also very pleased that our party vote increased by 12% over the 2020 results. And that was pleasing, especially it's almost twice as much as the overall increase in the party vote nationally, which I think was 7%. So yeah, I think that I was pleased with the Napier results. And you're right. If I hadn't told people that, maybe a lot more people would have voted for me. I don't know, but I wouldn't have got in anyway. So,
well, do you think there is a change in the way the Green Party is acting as a political force? Because last election we had Chloe Schwarbrick winning a seat. Only the second time a seat had been won, and now this time we had two more seats being won. Do you think there will be a point where the Greens could be contenders for seats like Napier and Tuki?
Yes, absolutely. And we actually had a meeting last night, and we were talking about this very thing, that we've done so well nationally, and in so many of the electorates we've done well, that we've got a really good base to build on. And we're starting now on the 2026 campaign, basically. Well, here locally we are, and I'm sure the Green Party nationally is as well. And it's about building that up. And the Green Party is I think it might have used to be seen as a whole load of vegetarian hippies, but it's not. It's now taken seriously as a credible party with
Yeah,
a whole spread of policies across every policy area, serious
yeah,
policies. And that's very cheering, really. And I do think that now, especially now, we've seen that we can win electorate votes. There will always be some electorates, obviously, that are going to go National or Labour because they have forever. Well, but not now.
yeah.
But I think that the party, I'm sure, will be very strategic about which electorates it thinks it can win. Um, and it did go for the electorate vote in some other electorates as well, which they didn't win. But those three is very heartening.
Yeah, because with all due respect to you, no one had really heard of you before you were announced as a candidate. You were announced late because obviously the previous
Yes.
candidate pulled out. But how do you get around? Is it a case of maybe getting your candidate named early on? Because I know in the past when Stuart Nash was nominated early, he had a few
Yes.
years running. Is that the way to do it?
Yes, it normally would be. It normally is the year before the election. And of course, I did come to it late because James pulled out, which meant it was I didn't get to do all the things that the other candidates did, and it was a pretty steep learning curve for me. But
Yeah.
the other, so there's that aspect of it, and then there's also, if I was going to stand again, and I haven't decided on that, I at my age, you don't know what's going to happen in 3 years' time. So, it's kind of open. It's an open question. But if I were, and an means is being really committed to getting to know people, getting to know groups, getting to know campaigns, getting to know issues in the local area. I went to that meeting about railway, and I'm going to join that lobby group. And there's a couple of other groups that I'm going to join as well. But also, yeah, just getting out and about and building presence within the community.
So whether or not you stand again, your involvement with the Greens and your activism at a grassroots level will continue.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, that my values and what I believe just aligns so closely with the Green Party, for one thing. For another thing, I really admire the people who are involved. They're all very committed people. And I have to say, they're kind of the nicest bunch of people I've ever met. So, there's kind of every reason to be involved. And they're issues that I really care about.
Yeah. Now, I know your politics differ from Katie Nimmons, but what do you think of her as a person, and how do you think she will go as MP?
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate her on her success. And I think she ran a smooth and respectful campaign.
Mm.
She's obviously a very accomplished speaker. And she reiterated several times that if she was elected as the constituency MP, she would act on behalf of everyone, whoever they voted for. And actually, I believe that. And I think she'll make a good constituency MP. I would like, she has said on more than one occasion that she is herself concerned about climate change and the environment. And I would hope that she uses her platform within the National Party to advocate for those issues and hopefully to counter some of ACT's, the impact of what ACT's going to do around the environment and climate change. So, well, good luck to her.
Yeah. So now that you know her and you've spent a bit of time with her, will you feel free to approach her when there are local issues that you do think need addressing?
Oh, absolutely. I think she's probably she is very approachable,
Yeah.
and she's always very polite and pleasant. And
Yeah. Mark Hutchinson, the Labour candidate, was a bit like you. He got thrown a poison chalice, if you like, at the last minute. But do you think he should run again? How do you think his campaign went?
well, I think he ran a good campaign. I think that his heart is in it, and I think by the end he was sounding credible. And I think, with another 3 years, because Katie had 3 years, to develop what she did. And in another 3 years, I think Mark will be there too. And he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, it was quite a roadshow that you were on towards the end there. Not only getting out and door knocking and speaking to people, but also the public meetings that you held and that. How did you find those? And did you feel that you sort of got more confident in that as time went on?
Yes, and yes, I did. And I sort of think, oh, if I could go back and do that again, I'd do it this way. But it was largely a very enjoyable experience. I did find it a bit stressful at times, I will admit, but largely it was very enjoyable, and it was incredibly interesting. And I got to meet lots of interesting people as well. And yeah, I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think the one message that you left, or you hope you left with voters from your personal campaign?
Two.
Okay, go
and
for
they
two.
can't be separated. They can't be separated out. One is around climate change and the environment, and that we absolutely urgently need to do something about that if we're to have the kind of clean, green, beautiful New Zealand, let alone planet. And the other is about ending inequalities. And those two go very closely together, because climate change is going to impact most severely on poorer people who are marginalized. So you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, but under this government, is that this new government with ACT and possibly New Zealand First thrown in there, is that going to happen?
Well, on climate change, and at least, National's not a climate change denier, I'm pleased to say, but it'll be a bit wishy-washy, really. And if ACT have their way, then profits will come before anything else, and trickle-down economics and all of that. So, they'll be for deregulating wherever possible. How much of that gets agreed to by National, I don't know. I don't know what they're negotiating. But and in terms of ending inequalities, and inequalities have never decreased under a national government. They've always increased. And so, no, I don't feel very hopeful at all.
Now, James Shaw admitted that, feeling like he had a bit of unfinished business because he had done quite a bit as climate minister. Are you and is the party concerned that that is all going to be undone? Or do you think the government will basically keep that, but just move slower?
Well, almost certainly some of it will be undone, but I hope they keep enough of it. And I hope if they have enough people like Katie Dimon, who says that she's, concerned about climate change, I hope there's a big enough voice in the National Party to make sure it doesn't happen. I don't know who the new climate minister is, if indeed there is one.
Well, they haven't announced it, so it will be interesting if there is one. Yes. Yes. So now, what for you in the near term future?
Well, I'll be very active in the Green Party, and I'll be very active in all the, going around community groups and so on, and spreading the green message. I do have other things in my life. I'm on the board of Creative Arts Napier, and that's that's also a very enjoyable experience. And I volunteer at the hospice op shop, and things like that.
Yeah. Well, Julienne Dickey, thank you so much for your time. It's been good to catch up with you, and also to hear your experiences on the campaign trail. And maybe we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.